The entire world seems to be moving in the same direction, whether you're in a first world country or a third world country. No matter how you categorize these nations, the pattern is strikingly similar. It's as if we're all marching to the beat of the same drum. This reminds me of what we witnessed during the global response to COVID-19. Almost overnight, every country around the globe implemented mask mandates, all using the same language and reasoning, and it happened within just a few days. It felt like waking up the morning after a heavy rain and seeing a lawn covered in mushrooms that weren't there the day before. Suddenly they were everywhere. As a child, I remember being puzzled by this. I'd think, where did all these mushrooms come from? I didn't see them growing yesterday. That memory serves as a fitting metaphor for what we're witnessing today. The mushrooms in this case are central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. One day they weren't visible, the next they're sprouting all over the world, seemingly at the same time. But here's the thing, those mushroom spores were always there. They were lying dormant, beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to emerge. This is what we are seeing now with digital currencies. The groundwork for these policies was laid long ago, even though we didn't notice it. Now we're seeing it come to the surface, and it's being labeled as a crisis. But in reality, this crisis has been building for decades, practically since the formation of central banks themselves. When you think about central banks, they're often portrayed as public institutions working in the public interest. However, they are fundamentally private banking institutions, often working in conjunction with governments. This creates a dangerous dynamic because central banks, which control the money supply, are private entities partnered with governments that have the power of law and coercion. Together, they form a powerful entity, capable of influencing nearly every aspect of our lives. When a central bank has the legal authority to create money out of nothing, literally nothing except the promise to pay a debt, they can create as much money as they want. And with that power, they can manipulate markets, buy influence, and sway political leaders. Most politicians, unfortunately, are for sale or, at the very least, for rent. This combination of money creation and political influence has shaped our system for a long time. The mushrooms were always there, just beneath the surface. What we're witnessing now is the culmination of that long-standing system. We're starting to see the final phase of a process that began many years ago. Governments, which were once supposed to regulate banks, have become subservient to them. Now banks regulate governments, dictating policies, and influencing decisions that affect all of us. When we talk about the banking crisis that many people are concerned about, it's essential to realize that this crisis didn't just happen. It's been unfolding for a long time. What we're seeing now is just the visible part of it, the mushrooms sprouting up all over the place. But make no mistake, the spores have been there for decades, and the world's financial elite have been cultivating them carefully. Where is this all heading? It's leading to a world where we no longer have freedom of choice in the marketplace. We won't be able to buy or sell without permission from this banking and governmental alliance. Let's call it a cabal, for lack of a better term. They will control everything because they control the money. And soon, that money won't be anything you can hold in your hand. We're moving toward a cashless society. In a cashless society, there is no physical currency. Right now, we still have some semblance of control over our money. We can put cash in our pockets, in a drawer, or under our mattress if we want to. But in the future, everything will be digital. There will be no paper money, no coins, nothing you can physically possess. And that's where the real danger lies. Once we go completely cashless, the money won't be ours anymore. It will only be a number on a screen, and that number will be controlled by those in power. They may allow us to call it a dollar or whatever other name they decide to give it, but it won't be the same. It won't belong to us. The amount we're allowed to have will be determined by the government or central bank based on our behavior, social record, or political attitudes. Think about that for a moment. If you cooperate with this system, you'll likely do fine. If you toe the line, stay in step with the rules, and support the political and social agenda of those in power, life will go on as normal for you. But if you question the system, if you resist in any way, things will change very quickly. Your access to money could be restricted, and in a cashless society, there's no alternative. You won't be able to hide money or save it for a rainy day. Everything will be tracked, controlled, and monitored. This isn't science fiction or conspiracy theory. We can see the signs all around us. Just look at the growing influence of technologies like the Internet of Things, IoT, and 5G networks. These technologies allow for unprecedented tracking capabilities. With the rollout of 5G, the ability to monitor people will increase exponentially. Devices like your smartphone can track your heart rate, your movement, even your emotions. The technology is already here. Companies are developing sensors that can detect when you're blinking, what your mood is, and whether you're telling the truth. Now, imagine what happens when this level of surveillance is combined with a cashless society and central bank digital currencies. It's the ultimate form of control. As long as you're not causing trouble, you'll be fine. You'll be allowed to work, consume, and live your life. But the minute something you do raises a red flag in the system, whether it's an opinion you express online, a protest you attend, or even a conversation you have in private, you'll find yourself under scrutiny. The artificial intelligence, AI systems that monitor all of this will pick up on patterns, behaviors, and interactions. And once you've caught their attention, they'll decide whether or not you deserve to keep living as you have. Maybe they'll restrict your access to digital money. Maybe they'll require you to do something you wouldn't normally agree to, like take a certain medical treatment. We've seen hints of this in recent history, haven't we? If history has taught us anything, it's that those in power use every tool at their disposal to consolidate that power. They start by gaining control over smaller parts of the system and then gradually synchronize the rules, the laws, and the behaviors of those smaller units to bring them in line with their broader goals. You've probably heard phrases like harmonizing laws between nations or creating a universal standard. That's not a coincidence. It's part of a larger plan to unify and centralize control. This is exactly what's happening with the monetary system. Right now, each country is developing its own digital currency. It may seem like a national effort, but it's all part of a larger, global agenda. Eventually, these national digital currencies will be linked through a universal monetary unit. At first, there will be exchange rates between the various currencies. But over time, those distinctions will disappear, and we'll be left with one global currency. It's a logical progression if you're sitting at their boardroom table planning the future. The key question is, what do they want? Is it about making more money, or is it about something else? Control over people. If you misunderstand their motives, it's hard to predict their actions. But it seems clear to me that what they're really after is control. Money is just the tool they're using to achieve that. Right now, we live in a world where money equals power. If you have money, you have influence. You can buy things, control people, and dictate the course of events. But what happens in a world where money no longer exists in the traditional sense? What replaces it? The answer is control. Control over the digital units that will replace cash, control over the systems that govern our lives, and ultimately control over us as individuals. When money is removed from the equation, something else has to take its place, and that something will be total control over every aspect of our lives. It might sound dystopian, but the pieces are already falling into place. If all nations are forced to use the same digital currency, any decision made by the central authority, whether it's a government or a global banking body, will affect everyone. There will be no escaping it. So, as we move forward into this new era of digital money, it's important to stay aware of the broader implications. It's not just about convenience or the evolution of currency. It's about the gradual erosion of our freedom and autonomy. The world may seem like it's mushrooming overnight, but those spores have been lying in wait for a long time, and now they're taking root.